Good afternoon. It is March 13th of 2018, and we're looking at the price chart of Bitcoin, but we're looking at 2014 top and the price coming down all the way through to the bottom here. And I wanted to observe how long it took for this bottom to pick up and take off before the big uptrend started back in the end of September of 2015, I'm sorry. So we can see that there were a couple really big panic drops before the price continued going. And now the price of Bitcoin is even more volatile because we have futures trading contracts. And so I am expecting to see some much more volatility. And let's continue on through the charts here and just see how long things took for the big uptrend to go and how long it's going to take for the next one to go is what I'm trying to estimate. So we have from January all the way to October before prices started breaking higher, and they made a big spike and came back, this formation, before surging back up again. Here we're going relatively flat, but it's still quite volatile. And then prices take off. We see some pullback on that. And as this was coming up to potential top formations all the way along in here, we're looking at December of 2016, all the way along through this uptrend here, and especially through this part here, I was looking at these as a top formation all the way along. I was always calling a top and looking for a big retracement. And that during that retracement and a long phase, that the altcoins would pick up and really take off. So I was anticipating all the way along through here that one of these drops would result in a very long, stable phase again, like we saw back here for almost an entire year. And right through here, where we saw for another good 8-month period before a big jump up. So as this was going up, I was anticipating a big recovery down and that we would see some flatline prices for a while. And of course, as we know, that didn't happen. And even through here in 2017, as prices came down here in June and July, all the altcoins came down. I was still anticipating that Bitcoin would come down and stable out and all the alts would go on another run up. And that didn't happen. All the alts went down as Bitcoin went and hit the $20,000 range. And exactly at this point up here in the December 14th, I think it was, that's when the futures price, the futures contracts came into being, where people could put on massive leveraged positions. And they did. And they really have pushed the prices down from this nice top all the way down to the 50% level. A very nice profitable move for those who shorted it. And now we are floating around. And will the price continue to crash down further from this is the main thing to wonder and prepare for. So if I zoom in now, I'm going to go to the 1-year view, and you can see my trend line I've marked on here. It's very significant. Prices break below that, they're going down further without a doubt. Then we've always looked at the moving averages here you see on the chart. So on the 1-year moving average, there's the crossover. Time to get out. And indeed, at this point here, I was selling a bunch more Bitcoin. Fortunately, sold a whole bunch in December because I was hiring the web team and I wanted to have the money in pocket. Even though I thought the prices would go higher, I cashed out. And then in here, when the technical analysis said that the prices could be going down to 8,000, I sold out there too. They crashed down to 6,000-ish. And now they've made this formation here that is interesting to me. Because on this downtrend, this is a big 1, 2, a double 2, and a 3 in a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. The moving averages haven't crossed over yet, though, on the 1-year view. They came very close, and now they've faded, and they're moving apart, which would tell me that the downtrend is intact still, and a breach of this trend line is going to mean lower prices. Now, if we zoom in and we see the 3-month chart, the 3-month moving averages crossed over a little before the 1-year moving averages. and marks a very fantastic point to it getting out, get out, get out, get out. That crossover is so significant. Now we've seen them come up and bump around here a little bit, but the crossover is still down and they're spreading further apart. So I want to zoom in again further to the 1 month view now and take a look at this potential formation that's occurring right here. And this would be a little 1, 2, 3 bottom formation out of this downtrend. We've got a 1, come up to a number 2, and we do have a number 3, but because it's made a new number 2, this becomes the new number 3. So I would even call this a double 1 here. It's like a double bottom here. And then a number 2 and a number 3. A breach below this is very bearish. And yet this is the contradictory chart patterns that I look for, is the 1, 2, 3 within the 1, 2, 3. So here we have the little 1, 2, 3 within the bigger 1, double 2, 3. And so that's the kind of position that I like to watch for and be ready for, because it's contrary to what has been going on in the prices over the last while. So from a high of the $20,000, we're down to the 50% level, which is often where prices will come down to in a longer term uptrend. So then, if I was thinking in a 1 year or several year view, my buy signal might have been in September or October of 2015, when prices were making the formation that we were looking at earlier here, September 2015. So here's our 1, 2, 3s, and it's breaking out and showing strength. So we could be putting some on here and adding some on there. But in the really long-term view, this is actually where we're looking to add on to our position, add on to the position, add on to the position. These are the correct places to be considering adding on to the position. Right in here, as it came back from the top, made a 1, 2, 3 top, it came down and then consolidated. That's the time to add on. Of course, in history, we can see that. Now is the time to consider, is that happening again now? Because of the chart pattern and the 50% level in the prices. So our option, if we hadn't been adding on, and we are not adding on to our position again now, would be to consider, should we be cashing out of Bitcoin into US dollar or something else? Or should we be holding our Bitcoin that we have? Should we be adding on to it, taking leveraged positions over on onefox.com? So here we have the strategy then is to put on, using rule number 2, part of your position, if you wanted to. So you would put on just a little wee sliver of your position, and we're going to then immediately be considering rule number 1, which would be to say that we are wrong and that we are going to remove this position if it doesn't prove us right immediately. Because we've come down to such a fine point now to the triangle, it's a time where if it doesn't prove us right immediately, then we have to get out because it's just too close to the edge of the cliff. On the other hand, should it prove us correct, there are times now to be adding on to this position because it has proven us correct that it is at the 50% level, making a 1, 2, 3 within a little 1, 2, 3 within a bigger 1, 2, 3. If it does prove us correct, then that means that prices are going to be going higher from here. It's come down to one of those points, and yet it's probably not done the consolidation. As we saw back in the summer of 2015, before the prices started to rise in September and October, it took many months for the prices to fool around in that range before going up. And so it is, I'm thinking with Bitcoin, that it's going to be ranging quite a bit within these ranges here, from the teasing these levels for a while, maybe even coming back to tease these levels before going higher. If it is going higher, then if it's going lower and it breaks below these levels, then all bets are off because this is the trend and we have to watch for that to continue down to historical technical levels, which is really the $4,500 level, probably, yeah, 40, $4,500, $4,600 level. And so from here, it's got some momentum to go down if it's going down. If it catches here and is going up, this is the time to be adding on to those positions because the trend is showing that it's continuing to go up here. A very wonderful time to be watching and considering those trading rules to put on a little bit and add on to it, or immediately get out. And should you want to short Bitcoin, that would be a time to be considering another short option in this. So there's my video on the price of Bitcoin for March 13th, 2018. I am holding my Bitcoin and looking at the altcoin charts because I see a lot of opportunity shaping up in many of these charts. When I go out to the 1-year view and zoom back even in MaidSafe Coin, we can see that we're at historical lows. And by that chart pattern, I want to consider taking a position. And indeed I have. So I bought in at 33.33 here. After taking my losses for the prices coming down, I probably took my losses in here, I think. And then prices have come down and wavered quite a bit. If I had not taken my losses, I'd still be holding that position. But now I'm building my position. I got out, took my losses, and I'm reviewing it now, waiting for when the bottom actually came in, because who knows how far down it could have gone. Now I'm seeing the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation and strength coming out of that. It's time to put on a small bit of the position. And the key here now for a low risk trader, as lowest risk as you can, there's always risk in trading. When you put on a position and it proves you correct, as soon as you can, put your stop loss above your entry point and protect the money that you have. Then consider when to be adding on correctly. As we saw in the super long-term chart of Bitcoin, it is on the uptrend when it's come back and made the consolidation and a little 1, 2, 3 within that trend. That's the time to add on correctly. And so there's lots of time to sit back and wait. If this is indeed the bottom, to put on a little wee bit of a position, lots of time to sit back and wait for this to make its formation. When we look at the 3-month view here and we're trying to check out these crossovers of the moving average and when to get in and out of a trade, we still have lots of time before this has settled itself into a firm enough bottom and shown a change in momentum enough that this moving average crosses over. So there's still lots of time in most of the alts to consider if it's time to get in or not. So this one's looking like a top formation. Here we have the crossover and nowhere near the crossover coming back up. Zoom into the 1-month view. It's a potential 1, 2, 3, but it's not showing strength right now. It does look like it's got to build some more strength here. And if it doesn't, this is actually it's quite a critical technical level. So if it doesn't bounce off this right away, it's looking like it's going to be going down more. That trend is pretty strong looking. So it is with Bitcoin. So we'll have to see how this goes. Not a buy signal for me. Factum is closer to a buy signal. If we go to the 5-year view, we see it's pretty near historical low levels. Zoom into the 1-year view, and these moving averages are actually panning and coming close together. We can see here, this is the 1, this is the number 2, this is a double number 3, and we're hovering just above that. And if we zoom in, we can also consider this a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and that it's showing strength off of that. Here it is zoomed in more to this 1, 2, 3 bottom. So if you were to consider putting on a play on this, how would you get out of the trade if you were not proven correct? I would put on a 1/10 of my position, a 1/5 of my position, And if this did not break higher out of this triangle, and it started to break lower out of that triangle within the next couple hours, I would have to close that position and say, okay, it wasn't time yet. I have to let it float around a bit more, and it may go another. How long was this? This is only a month of time, a couple weeks of time. So it's got lots more time that it may move around here, do a fake out breakout, and then fade back off. So there's still all sorts of ways to be nervous about this market and wait for these moving averages to confirm, as it did here, which has been difficult because it's a fake out breakout there. This is when, if you were to put on your position on the strength from this 1, 2, 3 bottom, then as soon as the price goes above your entry, you put your stop loss above it to protect your money, just in case it is a 1, 2, 3, a fake out breakout. And these happen a lot. We can see another 1, 2, 3, and it was trying to show strength. If you were buying in here, you'd have to be ready with your stop because the trend continues. And we're on that same idea now where the trend hasn't been broken yet. Maybe it has. But if we go through this kind of chart, the trend hasn't been fully broken yet, even though it's at these historical lows and a really good time for it. It's not quite the moment yet. It's really shaping up to it. It's time to watch. And a risk tolerant person could put on a bit of a position here and then add on to it if it adds strength. Ethereum has been getting a lot of press lately. And this is a top formation. We have a lower high. We have a 1, 2, 3 top and a consolidate. We got the crossover of the moving average here in the long term. That's pretty significant. It doesn't cross over and hang. It crosses over and flows, usually. Every time we see it over here, except for back in July to September of 2016, the 1-year moving average was pretty much flatlining all the way along. But now we're seeing greater swings in the market. Is this? It doesn't seem to me like the momentum is out of this and that it's going to turn around from where it is. Go to the 1 month view, it still looks pretty weak to me. It does seem like Ethereum will be going down from here by this chart pattern. Dogecoin could be in the position of adding on. It's often come into these consolidations and then continued on the downtrend. Every time this has gone through a pump all the way down, all the way down, pump all the way down, pump. We haven't come all the way down yet. And yet it is making a potential 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. And a risk tolerant trader may put on a small bit of a position here because of this hesitation and be immediately ready to take that position off if it went down 1 Satoshi. It came down to the 41.40, hasn't proven correct, hasn't changed the momentum, and you'd have to get out immediately because you don't want to hold it while it's fluttering around and fluttering around. You really want to only jump in when it's really making the move, and then get your stop loss above your entry position right away so that you are protecting that money. This doesn't look strong to me. It doesn't look like it's had the turnaround momentum yet to take off. And I don't see that there's a big pickup in trade volume here in Doge. So for me, there's still lots of time. All of these alts have a lot of time to hang out and mature and have the accumulation take up and to have a different group of traders actually come in, because all the traders who came in December and January and they were purchasing, they're all maybe haven't hit the complete demoralization yet. They're still holding, and we need more down before the price is going to find the market value and hang out there. It's impossible to know, but by using rule number 1 and rule number 2, you can put on a small speculative position, and if it proves you right, you hold it and add on, move your stop loss up. If it proves you wrong, you get out right away. Now, when we go back to looking at Bitcoin, seems to me that this is turning around and going up. And so I did buy more Bitcoin just recently with some referral income that came in. And I also bought more Litecoin as well. If we go over and look at the Bitcoin Canadian dollar versus the Bitcoin US dollar, the Canadian dollar has not picked up, as it's showing more weakness here than the US dollar Bitcoin price. And if we look at the Litecoin Canadian dollar versus Bitcoin, Litecoin is showing less strength in the versus Canadian dollar in the Bitcoin price as well. Ethereum, it's a clearer bottom when we're comparing it to the Canadian dollar and US dollar. But again, a breach below this level is very bearish for Ethereum in Canadian dollar value or in against Bitcoin, as we were seeing earlier. So there's a whole bunch of information following along the very same plans of looking for the bottom formation, using those risk control rules to scale into a position and to keep your losses really small, and just review those against the charts all the time to decide what you should be doing from moment to moment with each different trade. So thanks again for tuning in and watching all the way through this. This is Douglas Lampy signing off for the reports over on digitalcurrencytraders.com. March the 13th, 2018.